Tecia Torres versus Sam Hughes. We got minus 450 on Tecia Torres and plus 350 on Sam Hughes. And this is still pretty much the opener. Bet Online is the only site that seems to have it up. I checked on Pinnacle and Bookmaker, and I don't have any lines on there. But the interesting line that did drop for this that a lot of people seem to have already got on, but is not widely available, is the over 1.5 in this fight was roughly around minus 112. I'm sure it's up to the minus 130, minus 140 range now. But yeah, the fact that it's not widely available is it's definitely not anything that I can tip myself at this point in time. But if you're watching this and you do have access to that, and that over 1.5 is anywhere better than minus 200, minus 250 even, I think there's some solid value there, and I think you should more than hit it for sure. So I believe if you go through Tecia Torres' 16-fight MMA career, she's only gone under 1.5 one time. She choked out Juliana Lima a minute into the second round, and then outside of that, all of her fights have gone to a decision. She is a decision machine, whether it's her, getting her hand raised via decision or even her losing by decision. She doesn't get finished. She's never gotten, well, she's got finished at one time, she's never gotten finished, and she's faced women like Rose Namajunas, Jessica Andrade, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Wally Zhang, Marina Rodriguez. This girl cannot be finished. So, yeah, I think that over 1.5 is a massive mistake on the bookmakers' part. I'm not sure what they were seeing there, but solid line there if you guys are interested in that. So let's talk about Tecia a little bit more. I did cash on her last time around. As she was a slight underdog, not a slight actually, a pretty decent underdog, plus 175 to Brianna Van Buren last time around. I was able to hit that. A lot of people seem to be on the Brianna Van Buren train that night, thinking that she was going to continue to cruise, especially in the UFC, going up against a very tough Tecia Torres. And I kind of saw through that. Brianna's style is more so having some strikes and then mixing in the takedowns and kind of just rounding out top position. But this was a fight where she was fighting somebody roughly her size and physically looked much stronger than Brianna. So I was very kind of puzzled in terms of people's confidence in Brianna that night. It really threw me off. Thankfully for me, I didn't get sucked into that. I was able to bet on Tecia and get that money myself. But I thought she was going to be the better striker. I thought she was going to be stronger. I thought she was going to be faster. And I thought she would be able to stuff the takedowns, which is exactly what she did. Even in that first exchange where Brianna tried to get her down, I think that's where Brianna really saw and felt the strength of Tecia. I was like, oh, fuck. I'm in some shit now if I can't get this girl down. And we saw Tecia really, light her up on the feet after that. She did a very, very good job of maintaining distance, putting out the proper amount of volume, and landing the proper shots as well that were needed to get the decision victory there. She's a great fighter. I think that Tecia Torres is widely underrated because, one, she's not a finisher. Two, she was on a 4-fight skid at that time. A lot of people are thinking that she was at the end of the rope of her MMA career and her UFC career, but I truly saw through that. She's only 31 years old. Like normally that's like the fighting peak of a lot of fighters. And how can you blame her for having losses to Jessica Andrade, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Wally Zhang, and Marina Rodriguez back to back to back to back? Like it makes no sense. There's a reason the UFC kept her even after 4 losses. Normally they cut them after 3 losses, but they just gave her they just gave her a pass. She lost to 3 champions or former champions. It's a huge thing for her to go out there and still get that victory over an up and comer like Brianna Van Buren. Now she's fighting a girl in Sam Hughes who's stepping in on relatively short notice. Angela Hill pulled out earlier this week due to COVID. So in steps Sam Hughes, who was in the LFA, was fighting for an LFA title against Vanessa Demopoulos, where she eventually got caught in an inverted triangle choke. She seems like a decent prospect. I won't lie. She actually seems pretty good. She's 28 years old. Seems like she has a little bit more growing to do in terms of being a fighter, but I don't mind what I see from her. The only thing is I just think that Tecia Torres is just not ever so slightly, she is better than her in every single aspect. I think she's stronger. I think she's faster. I think she throws more volume. Sam Hughes' game in terms of being able to mix in her strikes and her takedowns work very well against other women, but I don't think it's going to work here against Tecia Torres. If she tries to do that, we've already seen what happens when Brianna Van Buren's not able to get him going. I think Ticia's just going to be stronger, faster. She'll have more output. She'll be, if they do tie up, I think that we'll see Torres get a couple takedowns if that's what's required. But I just don't see a way that Sam Hughes really wins this fight. The over is definitely the spot if you have access to that. Like I said at the top of the breakdown, Yeah, there's not much else I really have on this fight. I will look to potentially bet Sam Hughes in the future. If she gets a couple more fights in the UFC, I think she might be a sneaky good play, especially if Tecia Torres is able to go out there and just dominate her. I think it might undervalue Sam Hughes moving forward, which has worked out in the past whenever fighters have a tough fight against a UFC veteran, and then next time out are kind of just overlooked and just thrown to the side. So I think Sam Hughes does have potential to get some wins, but this is a very, very tough fight for her first fight in the UFC, and I think Tecia Torres is just going to beat her everywhere. So I like Torres. I think she wins this fight via decision. So I'd actually like to see what that decision prop is. Again, no access to it currently, but when it does come out, I'll definitely take a look at it. If it's at any sort of plus money, it might be something that I consider. Uh, as I do believe that she'll win a decision here against Sam, who is kind of tough. She did have that loss via inverted triangle to Vanessa Demopoulos, who recently fought on the Contender Series, but that was she didn't see that coming. She didn't even tap. She just went out, which shows you that she didn't expect that choke to actually put her out. So yeah, I think Sam Hughes is good. She's a good all around fighter, but this is just too much that she's biting off at this time against Tecia Torres. So once again, I'll go with Tecia Torres to win this fight via decision.